Pet's Life with Gym Dog, Ireland's first pet resort by Des the Vet. Managed by vets, loved by pets. Daycare, vet care, premium pet food and grooming. Visit apetslife.ie.
And a very good morning to you, 0833 97 97 97. We'd love to hear from you today. And as we get ready to have a chat with Des, who was put in his place last week by our Vicky Martin, I was listening. She knows her cats, Des.
Yeah, she knows her cats. She's definitely a proper cat lady. So we had a great chat about cats, and we'll continue the feline flavour today.
Oh, I like that. Feline flavour. I'll save that for my Facebook post a little bit later on. I have to ask you, why did we decide to go down the route of cats? Is it just that time of the year?
It's that time of year they're more active. So our caseload of cats increases at this time of year. We see more cats. And, of course, one of the businesses I have is Gym Dog, but I wouldn't like people to think that it's just all about dogs. Important for people to understand that a pet's life is very much about cats and other animals as well. And of course, some weeks we even love to talk about the zoo animals. So we need to be conscious of the fact that it's all creatures great and small.
Another pun. You're on a roll there, Des. You're on a roll there. And I have to say, all creatures great and small. It literally is like that. But is your vet's practice as a rule? I mean, do you get all sorts of weird and wonderful animals coming in? Yeah,
say probably 60% dogs, 30-something% cats, and a few percent of rabbits, hamsters, gerbils, guinea pigs, the occasional canary, budgie, pet parrot.
Okay.
I'd see a lovely parrot like a conure or an African grey once or twice a year.
Right.
Literally, you know. Now, in the UK, that kind of exotics market, I suppose it's a symptom of urbanisation. Smaller pets and more exotic pets are more common, but not yet here really in Ireland. Just about the most exotic it gets for us in Kildare would be a rabbit.
And boy, they love breeding as well.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, but the other thing you were touching on with the cats as well, I think cats are out and about hunting and doing stuff this time of year as well, aren't they? Yeah. They're eating all sorts of rubbish.
They're very active. They're eating all sorts of rubbish. So our little theme of cats behaving badly is very apt because they can have very strange behaviours. They're not as good at advertising how they feel as dogs. So they're more subtle, furtive animals, and they like to disguise their symptoms when they're unwell. And it's one of their self-preservation mechanisms is to be secretive. So they'll behave strangely, and we often wonder why. And a lot of the strange behaviours when cats are behaving badly is because they're not well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's an interesting thing about that.
And give me an example of what type of strange things go on when it comes to animals.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you a little story
and the cats
about that. So an old family friend of mine was actually a man who was a rugby coach of my son Tom, and Australian man and his family, and they were moving back to Australia, you see. Very sad after a number of years in Ireland, but they were moving back. And they had a lovely cat called Bella. And Bella happened to be three-legged because she'd been hit by a car as a kitten and had lost one of her legs, front leg. So Bella, the three-legged cat, as you can imagine, would be difficult to rehome. Yep. Because she'd require a little bit more of understanding and care. So my sister, who's a good animal person and animal lover, like myself, my sister Clodagh, took in Bella and homed Bella into her country space where there are 5 children, 2 or 3 other cats and 2 or 3 dogs. So a very, very busy house.
So how would Bella actually merge in with the other cats? Adapt?
Yeah. Well, you see, Bella was already a house cat because the family who were leaving had kept Bella indoors all the time, believing that as a three-legged cat she wouldn't survive as an outdoor cat. So she'd become a house cat. So when she was taken into Clodagh's house, into my sister's house, the presumption is that she's going to live her days as a house cat.
Not this fella.
No. You see, it was a busy house. I've said before about cats, they don't like change. Change of environment, change of place, change of people. It's very stressful on them. Harder for a cat to adapt to that level of change than, say, would be for a dog.
Yeah.
So, within a few months or so, Bella began to get difficulties and exhibit strange behaviours, which were pretty antisocial in a busy house. So, I'm talking about ignoring her litter tray and peeing in the sink on top of dishes.
Okay.
Yeah. Ignoring her litter tray and doing her number 2s in the bath.
Okay.
Yeah. Other things then, going upstairs and having bloodstained pee maybe on pillows.
Yeah.
This type of thing. Badly behaved, resented being picked up, scratching the children, changed from being quite affectionate to being and being calm to being unaffectionate and aggressive.
Okay.
So we looked at all this, we did some blood tests. I had a suspicion it was stress related, and sure enough, Bella was getting urinary tract infections purely and simply from stress.
Okay, right.
So had a discussion about it, bit of brainstorming, knew we had to put Bella on the special kidney food, you see,
Yeah.
to prevent build-up of crystals and prevent the alkali environment that these cats get when they have infections. So there's a diet for it as a preventative regime. But with 3 other cats in the house, it wouldn't be possible to feed Bella just the urinary food and not all the other cats. So
Okay.
one of the problems people have is you switch one animal, one cat in the house onto a prescription diet. You might have difficulties because all the other cats will eat it.
Of course they will.
Yeah.
They'll think it's something special.
They will. And then your cat's going to eat their food instead. So it's a waste of time buying the prescription diet because you can't keep her on it exclusively.
Yeah.
So the prescription diet wasn't going to work in a busy multi-cat household, right? Not to mention multi-dog. So that was a factor. That was a problem. So we had her on medications to dissolve the crystals and treat the urinary infection for months, but she kept getting recurrences. And we put our heads together again and we said, look, the stress is too severe for this cat. We're going to have to bite the bullet and we're going to have to allow her to live outside of the busy indoor environment that she doesn't like. Too noisy, too much disruption, children and dogs, etc., etc. We're going to have to chance allowing Bella to live outdoors and give her the option of coming in when she wants. Bella clearly needs just to get out of this busy environment, hence the reason for the bad behaviours. So we bit the bullet, we chanced it, we started putting Bella's food on the windowsill, allowing her access to the garden to come and go. And now Bella, the 3-legged cat, manages quite well. Jumps the fences, goes out into the fields, hunts shrews, brings them back, puts them on the back doorstep,
and says,
hunts
look at me,
mice,
Mammy and Daddy.
look at me, can jump up on windowsills for her food, for her water, can get in through downstairs toilet windows, which are 3 metres high from a low area. Bella is now living, for all intents and purposes, a perfectly happy, natural life as an outdoor cat, managing to survive, managing to hunt, managing to run and jump and escape predators, avoid dogs, avoid cars and crashes and everything else.
Okay.
And the miraculous thing, the wonderful thing is that Bella's urinary tract infections have gone away. She hasn't been sick since.
Okay.
And that's 6 months.
Has her temperament changed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's become chill, she's become friendly, she's affectionate on her own terms when she comes in.
I think that dogs or cats are like that anyway.
Yeah.
Our cats like that. One minute he'll come in and he'll be meowing and wandering around between your legs, and the next minute he'll just go off and do his own thing.
This is the way they are.
Yeah.
So because they're solitary and they're independent. So it goes to show you that the answer and the cure to Bella's medical problems was not actually medical, it was lifestyle based.
So all the antibiotics in the world would never have worked anyway.
Never have worked in the long term, and even the fancy prescription diet wouldn't work in the long term.
And did Bella stay on the prescription diet?
No, she's on a normal. They couldn't afford to keep her on it.
Yeah.
And she's on a normal cat food, and she hasn't had a urinary tract infection.
And what about
since.
the other cats around? In part of the household?
They
just ignore her?
They ignore her. They do their own thing. And like a lot of busy multi-cat households, they kind of coexist within a sort of an orbit, and their paths cross intermittently.
Yeah, I would agree,
Yeah, but they're not pals.
The only time that I've ever seen where they are pals is if literally they're from the same litter and they might...
And they grow up together.
Yeah, they might grow up from zero, and they're in the same litter from the time they were born as
Otherwise, they're always solitary and
they
independent,
are, most definitely.
aren't they?
Yeah, they are. Okay, so there we go. Sick. And what about general strange things? I mean, I know the story was there, but what symptoms are we looking out for cats that are not feeling well generally?
Cats become overly aggressive, especially when around the time of being handled or resent being handled. It's often an indicator of pain.
Okay, right.
They'll resent being lifted up if they have back pain, hip pain, shoulder pain, arthritis pain. They will resent being lifted.
Okay.
They will be unable to jump. Maybe unable to get into and get out of the litter tray.
Yeah.
So you might find that a change in toileting behaviour could mean that they're not comfortable stepping in and out of the litter tray anymore. And that could be arthritis.
Yeah.
You might find diarrhoea. And diarrhoea is a strange one now because they'll be doing their runny number twos in the most awful places, like your lovely favourite rug.
Yeah.
And the weird thing about that is, when they have diarrhoea, they don't want to use their litter tray.
Yeah.
Because their instinct is to keep the litter tray clean.
Right.
So they'll keep the litter tray clean at the expense of your best rug.
Okay, Mary was in. She just says, the one thing I've noticed about our cats is it just this time of the year, but there seems to be an awful lot of fur balls and keeps to be trying to vomit up food, but generally in terrific form.
Yeah, well, you see, they want to shed their winter coat. So cats would be grooming more than the wintertime, say, at the moment. They're trying to pull off the dead old coat. They're licking themselves and biting themselves, and they're pulling the dead hair out, and they're swallowing it. Hence, there will be hairballs, and hairballs are either coughed up or they come out in the stools.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, if you have cats, it's a normal thing, isn't it?
It is indeed.
It can be if you didn't have cats, or you're only beginning to get used to cats. It can look stressful, but they're grand.
They're grand, and they get over it. There isn't a bother. Fluffy cats can sometimes get a little bit of a blockage from hairballs, and there's a laxative that can be used if required. They'll all groom themselves.
Yeah.
And at the moment, time of year, if you've an elderly, very hairy cat, fluffy cat, having difficulty grooming herself, to bring her to a dog groomer to be de-shed would be a good idea.
Okay. Jeannie was on, Jeannie Maguire, and Jeannie's over in the Carberry direction, and she says, actually, I'm living with my sister at the moment. I'm from Edenderry, but I love the vet slot. Thank you very much.
Good, thank you.
Our cats, both cats seem to be eating an awful lot of grass lately. We don't know why, but they seem to be out hunting all the time. Is that all part of the same thing? Yeah, they're hunting a lot at the moment. Again, it's their body clock. They're very active at this time of year. It's a seasonal thing with them. They'll be more active. And when they hunt indiscriminately, cats like that, then they're going to have intermittent indigestion. Okay. And the eating the grass is an attempt either to make themselves sick or settle their stomachs. Okay. Because, look, at the end of the day, even though they have great fun going after the shrews and going after the birds or the baby birds or whatever the case may be, they still, once they're eating that stuff could be carrying some sort of
the worms, John, as well. Yeah. Worms as well, parasites. Yeah. So these cats will need deworming more regularly at this time of year too. Right, okay, very good. How often are you talking about putting the old spot on? Every 2 months. Okay, right. Kind of as a minimum, Okay, minimum 2 months. Okay. Hi lads, I have a Persian cat. He's starting to pee on the floor in one spot beside the litter box. Only doing this lately. I clean his litter box every day. What could be causing this, says Sandra? Yeah, the top of the list there actually is just what we were talking about, John, earlier. Okay. So FLUTD, feline lower urinary tract disease. Okay. So, listener, you do need to arrange a vet visit. Yeah. Absolutely. Wherever you're from, it doesn't say. Newbridge direction. So, Sandra, if you want to maybe do that, it would be top advice from Des, especially that if the cat is peeing outside the litter box. Why would the cat pee outside the litter box, Des? Because it's distressing for them. It's burning them. Right. And they move out of the litter box because they're uncomfortable. Right, okay. And so the litter is their happy place. It's where they go. They generally associate the litter tray with being in their comfort zone. Right. When they're unhappy outside their comfort zone, they'll move out of the box. And how would you know if your cat is having problems if they're not used to the litter box, or maybe they're outdoor cats? Yeah, you maybe just try and notice and see do you see them trying to pass urine more regularly. Okay. They'll strain, they'll crouch, and they'll do it on a more regular basis. So one of the other signs of urinary tract disease would be more frequent urination and shorter bursts of urine. Okay, right, fair enough. And you could well spot your cat doing that. Yeah, but cats don't like they can be secretive. But they're secretive. They go off behind bushes and do whatever. A true outdoor cat where you never have an opportunity to view what's going on toileting wise. Oftentimes, I'm afraid, it can be very late by the time you cop that there's a problem in those cases. You might have a blocked bladder, and you might notice that your cat is very sick, and they'll go off their food, you see, if they're properly sick. Does that lead to the next question, which would be, should we be more preventative with cats? Because most people, compared to dogs, are reactive. Yeah, with dogs, they're proactive. Yeah. So with cats, we tend to be more reactive because of this element of them being secretive and independent and maybe semi-detached from us a little bit. Yeah. More so than dogs would be. So we tend to be reactive, unfortunately. And plus the fact is, you're thinking to yourself, do I really want to put the cat through stress, throw him into the little carrier box? That's it. To bring him down to the vets. That's it. And get the stuff done. Maybe you just should do it every... You should just give a ring and just describe the signs and let them say if you need to come in or not. that'll be the thing, because travelling the cat into the vets obviously is stressful. So as regards being preventative and proactive, there'll be a couple of things about that. If you have older cats, you can take for granted that kidney disease and urinary tract disease is on the cards. It'll happen. So those older cats should be on a senior cat diet.
Right, okay.
And cats that are neutered should be on a neutered cat diet. So maybe they're not as active if they're domesticated. They're not as active as a wild cat. So you have to feed them accordingly.
What would trigger these urinary tract infections for cats?
High protein and high fat content in their diet, and high sugar contents in the diet. So a lot of the common or garden premium cat foods that are rich and meaty and juicy, they're high energy, high sugar, high fat, high protein.
Yeah.
So those high levels of nutrient put pressure on the kidney. So older cats then are more likely to get kidney infections being on a very, very rich diet.
Okay.
So the older cat needs a senior diet which is lower protein and has a lower pH.
Okay, Mark was on. He says, we feed our cat some of the gym dog stuff and he loves it. Lovely, love it.
Brilliant, good to hear that.
He says also, we do give the cat a little bit of treats. Is this too bad, like in little bits of ham or bits of cooked chicken or whatever? Are we okay doing that?
I think, to be fair, you're okay in doing that,
if you're
in that
on
your
a dry
cat
diet
is young and healthy and the baseline is really good.
Yeah. So if they're eating the dry nuts and it's their baseline main meal of the day,
you can mix a little.
If you're adding a little bit to it, no problem at all. Right. I want to talk just about general toilet behaviour as well, and toileting with regarding to cat. Are we more or less cover that?
Yeah, we've kind of covered it, but just briefly about the old litter tray thing. A litter tray, as you know, indoor cats need them. If you're a new cat owner, I have to break it to you, you're not going to really be able to have your cat indoors unless you have a litter tray and use it in the house. So you have to buy the sand or the wood pellets, and you have to change that litter tray every day.
Yeah. And
you have to be careful in terms of handling the contents of the litter tray, because various parasites, Toxocara and Toxascaris, they are, you have roundworms and you have tapeworms, and you have different protozoa there, and they can actually be transmitted to people.
Yeah.
So again, bear in mind, we've said this about dogs before, and it's even more true of cats. When you have cats indoors living in close company with people, the disease management, the parasite management and the hygiene has to be really on the ball.
Okay, keep them coming there. 0833 97 97 97. Another question. Hi lads, again, I have a female cat. It's neutered. It's not ours. I'd say it was badly damaged as a kitten. He keeps scratching and eating at its left leg. She's fed every day here, but can't catch her to have a look what it could be. Any advice? How would you go about doing that? And she's obviously trying to figure out a way to maybe catch the dog and get it down to a bed or whatever.
So you should pop into the vets and see if they can get a little prescription for some sedation that you could put into the food.
Okay.
And what you do is you feed your cat then in a room. Get her in for her dinner into a place where you can close the door behind her.
Yeah.
And wait till she's asleep. And when she's asleep, box her up and bring her into the vets.
Okay, what about the idea of throwing some food into one of those carry boxes and stuff like that? Does that work? No. They're wary.
Very suspicious, wary cat like that. She probably won't even go into the box and allow you to close it behind her.
Right, okay.
She's probably going to need to be sedated
first, yeah.
But I'd say you're on the right track there, John, about the leg. There's an X-ray needed there, I'd say.
Yeah, okay. Plenty of questions coming in regarding cats as well.
Good.
We have an indoor-outdoor neutered female cat who sprays randomly when she comes in, and in particular if she gets into the bedrooms. We were talking about this a little bit earlier. What causes this? Have tried plug-ins, still doing it though.
Marking the territory, looking for a sense of security, looking for a sense of orientating herself and being secure and feeling that she's in her own environment, in her own place. She's trying to create a zone where she's comfortable and happy.
So this have tried plug-ins but still doing it.
I'd say stick with the plug-ins.
So what are the plug-ins exactly?
Have you heard of pheromones?
Yes.
Pheromones are the natural chemicals and hormones that cats would get used to the smell of from their mother.
Okay. And
you can get actually plug-in versions of these hormones that give the cats a kind of a feel-good factor in their brain, because they're inhaling oxytocin and other other good chemicals, other good hormones from mother cats.
Okay.
So they're maternal hormones, and they make the cats feel secure. I would stick with them. What you need to do is you need to put those plug-ins in the places where you want the cat to spend her time. Plug them in by the litter tray, plug them in by her bed, her perch, plug them in by her toys.
Okay, fair enough. Rita was on. She says her cat doesn't drink water out of the bowl inside, but we often see the cat drinking puddles of water instead and licking off the bonnet. I have this. I see this with our cat quite frequently during the rainy season. Is this normal, and does that mean the cat is getting enough liquids?
Yeah, they need very little liquid, to be honest, really. Okay, so 5 kilogram cat is only going to need 50 mils of water to drink per day.
Okay.
Which is very little.
That's very, very
You wouldn't even see it in a cup.
No, you wouldn't.
Daily amount. So, also, they do prefer to drink moving water, running water, natural water.
Yes.
So it's perfectly okay for them to do that, to go out and drink the water they want outside. If you happen to have an indoor cat that doesn't get any or much opportunity to go outside, then you should have a water fountain, so they have access to running and moving water, flowing water for play purposes and for drinking.
Okay. Right, another one, quick one for you. Melissa, where are you gone? Melissa Horan was on. She's from Kilcock, and she wants to know about hold on, I'll have to lose that one. I'll come back to that in a second. First of all, I'm going to go with a different animal. I have a 14-year-old Shih Tzu. He's been stressing every time I leave the room. I can't leave him alone, even for short periods. My vet has given him Xanax, or maybe
Xanax, right.
That's not human Xanax, I presume, for him. But with even getting him a half a dose, he gets very disorientated. I've tried CBD oil, and it doesn't seem to help.
Okay.
What about
so here's the thing. CBD oil is a good old traditional cure we've used for stress. Xanax as well. And Valium and these things, they'd be the older ways that we've tried to help kind of and manage dogs that have that bit of stress. The reason your dog is getting stressed, getting that level of basically separation anxiety, and maybe didn't have separation anxiety in her younger life at all, and has it now, the reason why she's getting older, getting a little bit less secure in herself, maybe getting a little bit disorientated and forgetful in old age, and therefore becoming insecure.
Yeah.
Now, there's a new drug for that called Reconcile.
Okay, I heard of that, yeah.
That's the one. Go to your vets, ask about Reconcile. That's what I would be putting this older Shih Tzu on at this stage. Okay. And it'll just help her through the anxiety of her old age. Okay, fair enough. That other question, it wasn't completed, so they're still typing there, but we mightn't get to it till next week. Okay. Not to worry. Des, good stuff indeed. Of course, you can contact Des at Des Groombrett's down in Kildare Town. It's Pets Live. Thank Jim Dog and all of that. Very busy. You must be very busy this time of the year, are you? Thankfully we are. People are out and about. Their dogs are out and about. Last week there, with a bit of extra heat we had, saw a good few cases of heat stress. Okay. Not full-blown heat stroke, but heat stress. Okay. So again, just to always remind people about that, about managing the heat. Okay, well done. And we are continuing our theme on cats again next week. Yeah, we will, because there's loads there for us, John. Yep, absolutely. Cheers. It's a Pet's Life with Jim Dog, Ireland's first pet resort by Des the Vet. Managed by vets, loved by pets. Daycare, vet care, premium pet food and grooming. Visit at petslife.ie.